Alright everybody, it is probably like 12:47, I don't know, 12 something or other. Almost 1 o'clock. I got myself some Nuka-Cola. I'm not going to say what it really is because they're not paying me. So this is Nuka-Cola. And talking about some crisp, refreshing Nuka-Cola, I'm excited about something. And that is, being that it's October 30th, it's that time. I pre-ordered Fallout 76. I'm loving seeing that button. I'm loving seeing that button because initially they just had this button that said, go ahead and pre-order now. It's like, I've already pre-ordered, give me my beta. So anyways, let's go ahead and take care of that real quick. And so it begins. Alright, so while that's loading, let's take a minute to talk about it. Let's talk about Fallout 76. Alright, Fallout 76. Now, there's a lot of things. I'm on a couple of Fallout groups and I followed it and stuff. And there are people who are instantly just dissing this game from the get-go. It's gonna be a piece of shit. It's gonna suck, blah blah blah, and it's like, this is my standpoint. Most of y'all asked for this game, I'm gonna be honest, because I've heard so many people saying I would love to play Fallout with friends and stuff, and you know, let's give it a chance. Let them try this new platform for Fallout. Now, I'm not saying that I like everything about it, because there are certain aspects of it that I'm kind of like, why did they do that? We'll get to that in a minute. So, this is how it's going to go. The game's either going to be like this. Dude, totally. I haven't slept in about a week, dude. This is totally worth it. Mom! Give me a Monster Energy drink! Or, it's going to go something like this. What the hell? No. There is no God! But that's how it can go. But of course, Piper wants to give the game a try, don't you? That's why you've been making all the noise in the background. Anyways, main thing is we need to give it a chance. And the one thing that I will say is, you know, with this being a new platform and a new style and a new way of thinking with this series, I think we should give it a chance to see where it goes. One of the aspects that I thought was really awesome was being able to take pictures with friends. And a few people thought it was kind of corny, kind of boring. I just thought back to my times in the military and different photos that I would take and stuff, and I was like, that kind of makes me think of that. It makes me think of like, let's take this photo to remember the good times, you know? And you even have those moments in video games where it's like, you know what, let's all take a photo with all of our characters we custom created. That would be a really cool aspect there. And I really like that aspect of it. And then the other thing was with VATS, I heard a lot of people complaining about it. And the thing is with the new VATS system is, with it being multiplayer online, or just an online game in general, you can't just slow down the game. We all know that. We all know that you can't slow down the game when it's online. Don't mind the noise in the background. That's my cats being brats, especially Piper. Piper's being a brat. Cole's just like, I'm just wondering what she's up to. But anyways, with VATS not being able to slow it down, it looks like what it is depending on positioning your firearm and stuff like that, it will show you the percentage that you can hit. Which, if you think about it in real life, that would be more of what it would be like in real life. So they have adapted it to a degree. It's like a very early form of VATS, I think, which I think was kind of good. Another aspect of it that I am on the fence about is no human NPCs, where basically it's created to where you have to RPG with other people, and real people at that. So you're going from NPCs being able to trade with them and stuff, and they're, from what I've heard and seen, is that there'll be robot NPCs that you can do trade with, or dispensers, stuff like that. But I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I think eventually they will add human NPCs later on. And the other thing is this is basically a RPG game. So the thing you have to think is, you now have people who wanted to RPG with friends in Fallout now being able to do that, which I think is awesome. And the other thing that I liked was where they would limit how many people could be on a server, which I think that adds another positive mode to the game itself. I've had a few people say, well, that kind of kills it, but back in my head I'm thinking, well, it kind of doesn't, because imagine going in a world, yes, it's a huge map, but do you really want thousands of people in the same area that you're trying to do a mission? It would kind of kill the fun of doing that mission, And that's one aspect to think of, is, yeah, it's going to be multiplayer, stuff like that, but people were like, it sucks that you're limiting it. But think about it, if say you wanted to go to 10 Penny Tower in Fallout 3 and there were like 10, 20 other people doing it at the same time you were doing it, and you get less loot, you get less this, that's the reality of it. And that's why that's a good idea to do that, and I thought that was very clever of them to do that. Now I'm going to talk about one of the elements that I didn't really think was appropriate. Yeah, it's their baby. They can do what they want with it. But Fallout's had a very long, rich lore, and Fallout 76 takes place in 2102, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm trying to remember just the different years of stuff. I think it was actually another year. But anyways, basically they were talking about that because the Brotherhood took over a satellite, now that there's Brotherhood over on the East Coast. So the Brotherhood of Steel started pushing around the 2200s to get to the East Coast. That's when you have Elder Lyons and his group, where they made it there, and there was another branch that didn't make it to there, and they ended up in Chicago, which we haven't gone back to Chicago with the Fallout series in years, which I think they should do at some point. But now the way that I feel about that, I think they shouldn't have done that. What I would have done is, if you really want kind of a Brotherhood of Steel element, why not make a similar group that has the same kind of mindset as the Brotherhood of Steel, but they're a smaller group and they still have that Knights Valor kind of bravado about them, and write it in as when Elder Lyons was coming over to the East Coast, he ran into them and they were absorbed into the Brotherhood of Steel because they had similar ideologies. I think that's what I would have done, was make a similar Brotherhood of Steel, a group similar to the Brotherhood of Steel, but they were their own entity. But they decide to join the Brotherhood whenever they finally make their way to the nation's capital. If that makes sense. I think that would make a lot more sense than the satellite. That's what I would have done. And I think that's one thing that they should have done when it came down to it. Another thing that I am nervous about is, I don't want to sound odd, like I feel like this one old cartoon where it was just like old people at this time and then old people at this later time, where this old man's like, "Get off of my grass, you damn kids," and then now it's like those kids that were playing on the grass have grown up. They're old people now. And it's like, you damn kids, get out of my server. It's just making me think of that. But no, I'm kind of a little bit worried about basically trolls and griefing. I think that's a lot of people's concerns as well. But I think, from what I've heard, I think Bethesda is setting something up where you can put in somebody's tag or username and just have that where you don't have to deal with them anymore. Like, they're no longer a problem. And hopefully that's exactly what's going to happen. The being able to use nukes, I do kind of like that, but at the same time, it's like, I might fall in love with the scenery because they've done a lot of hard work. If you look at some of these pictures, and I mean, just look at them, it's just so beautiful. And I've actually been to that part of America in many different seasons, which I hope they do that. I hope they make it where it cycles between summer, spring, summer, fall, winter. That'd be so cool if they did that, and I hope they did that. That was one thing I think it's funny nobody asked that. Because think about it, with all the different changes in seasons, more different animals would come out. But now, just a part of me feels mixed about using nukes. Me as a person, just thinking of the repercussions that will take on inside the environment. That is just this beautiful environment. Just what would happen? Like, what's going to happen to it? Is it going to permanently stay this way? Good Lord. And then there was something else. The creatures. Yeah, the creatures. The one thing that was I'm trying to remember the name of it. The Grand Staff Monster. I believe that was it. Where it's like a old folklore legend of this creature with white fur, and I remember it would make a whistling sound. I remember reading about that. I felt intimidated with Deathclaws, but that thing makes me feel even more intimidated than a Deathclaw, and I'm hoping that's what they went with the design of it. Like, it's a lot more rougher than a Deathclaw, which those of us who have gone against the Deathclaw in the past know Deathclaws are no joke. So I'm looking forward to some of the other myths and legends that they brought to life. The one that I'm actually very curious about was this creature that looked like it was guarding an old mine, like an old coal or gold mine. I'm really curious about that, and then possibly looking up the folklore for that, because one of my favorite things with Bethesda and just the Fallout series in general is that they've been putting in a lot of historical stuff, and as a history buff, I love it. And like folklore and legends and stuff like that, it makes me like stop for a second and actually look up the real life thing and look up these real places. And the other thing is some of the art that came about it, especially for the Cranberry Bog. The Cranberry Bog really caught my eye, especially with the artwork that they did before they made the level, where you see a bunch of survivors from Vault 76, or just a bunch of survivors just running through this really luscious red environment. And it just made me think, like, some of these plants could be toxic or something, and they must be trying to get something that is incredibly rare out of there. And they even said, like, a few people said, like, Cranberry Bog is supposed to be more dangerous. Like, it's the most dangerous area. And I was like, you know what? I probably should level up before I go there. And there's a bunch of other stuff. There's a ton of stuff in West Virginia that I've read or heard about. So there's actually things that I know of to look out for that possibly might be hidden in the game. I'm not going to mention anything, but I would like to see if I can find these things and see if they did add that. Good Lord. Just like, there's so much excitement. I feel like that kid on Christmas right now when I open my present and it'd be like an NES cartridge. and, you know, pop it in, face glued to that CTR screen, and just playing the ever-loving shit out of that game, which I'm definitely going to do it. But I'm looking forward to just playing the game, to be honest with you, and just taking in everything that's going to be within the game. Another thing that I will mention that I would really like to do, and I always thought it was kind of odd, people, when you get into video games, you become, you make this character, you can become anyone you want. And the one thing that I'd really like to do is just beat myself in the game. And everybody says, well, what would you do? Well, obviously I'm going to explore. That's the first thing I'm doing. And I think that's what everybody is, but I would like to kind of be that guy you go to when you need something fixed or repaired. Then also that guy who might be able to trade some information with you, because there's some quests or just some places I'm kind of like, I'll go in there maybe, but I won't find anything that I like. But if they're like, hey, I'm looking for this, I'm like, oh yeah, you want to go over there and check that out. Like, I'd like to be that kind of character. I'd like to just be myself in this game and just try to help out my fellow survivors within the game. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to this, and I think a lot of other people are too. And for those of you who feel apprehensive about it, I just say this: if you feel very apprehensive about it, go ahead and just wait a little while and then get it while it's discounted. I've already spent my money, but I also spent it because I wanted to get some other stuff that was going to come along with one of the special editions. I didn't get the Power Armor one, sadly. I really wanted the Power Armor one. This is also somebody who, I feel bad, I pre-ordered No Man's Sky, and I haven't played No Man's Sky since it first came out. That one was a big flop, but from what I've seen with Fallout 76, I don't think it's going to be another No Man's Sky. I don't think they would do that to such a promising franchise. I don't think they would do something like that. But that's my 2 cents on Fallout 76, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Another thing is, I can't wait to see you guys in the Wasteland. Alright, peace out, and remember, like, share, and subscribe. Take it easy, guys.